Yes, please.
Sandeep Jagger, IPI. Just a quick question, really, as China is emerging as a world's economic power. Time magazine in 2007 estimated 5 million people employed in the coal industry in China, and 20,000 of them that die each year in mining. However, my question is directed to Dr. Seong, is how, if he knows how China, or in that fact for many other developing nations, could transfer these jobs and provide the training required for implementing alternate sources of energy. As this last slide suggests, it lies on the integrated innovation and trained talents. That also being mentioned, the question also is posed, which is the similar in other developing nations as well, that are using coal or have coal as a resource, of how new energy in coal could be linked to the grid or be taken to other areas in the country, like China, where not many people would be on the grid. So.
Okay, thank you. Question. So I think it's we have 5 million coal workers, is right, but every year, so the death of the coal workers is around the 3,000 or 2,000 thing. So, so now say the Chinese government is encouraging the emerge of the coal company to a bigger one. So the government was planted 13 coal base to the even more amount output of the coal mines, and encourage them to apply the mechanization, automation equipment, not continue the status as earlier or former, so by the labor. So I think the fewer coal workers will be required in future of China for the modern technology. So because this about 5 million coal workers comes from the rural area, it's the village. So now the government was set up a plan to the training, for the training, remote training, and in a school training or training center, to promote their skill, labor skill, or some other abilities. So I think they will have a good future or transfer these labor resources to other fields, possibly. So the accident death rate will be much reduced, and the required coal worker number will be much reduced in the modern coal mines in the future 10 years, I think.
Thank you. Thank you. We change sides, if you don't mind. We're going to start with the lady here. Yes, please.
Thank you. My name is Jacqueline Spann. I'm the president of Education and Literacy Fund for Africa. I'd like to ask each of you this question. When BP had this oil spill, I was more alarmed at the fact that no one seemed to know what to do right away, and they still can't explain what was on the ocean floor, and it was a lot of problems that came out of it that you would think that after all of these years that we've had oil, that scientists and geologists, and I was just taken aback. Can you please comment on what your thoughts were about the entire event? Quickly, I don't want to take too much time.
Okay, I'll try to prime the pump with that, so to speak. I think you're absolutely right. Everybody was a bit shocked, even in the oil industry, that there was not a backup plan, and that the systems that are on the seafloor that are supposed to stop the very eruption that took place did not function. I think you have to equate it, the analogy would be that there is no 100% safety. It doesn't exist, nor in space, nor in aviation, nor in anything. Things happen because there is mechanical failure, and there can be a human failure, or a combination of both. The case of BP is still being studied. by the Department of Energy, the Department of Interior, and others. So I think we'll let it run its course, but definitely you will see that the responsibility was shared, and it's a failure from which many people are going to learn. This is about as much as we know as of last week. So I'll let my colleagues perhaps say something about it.
It's a question of enforcement. I mean, government didn't really follow enforcement rules for many, many years, so that's one side of the equation. The second is industry was very lax. And you have to also recall that the energy industry is very risky. Refineries blow up, pipelines blow up, things happen. So there is event risk that sometimes can't be managed.
Yes, Nada Anid, Dean of Engineering at New York Institute of Technology. I want to go back to the question of oil, of energy from oil, and it's basically a comment that we should remember that oil is being burnt while it's also a raw material for our entire petrochemical energy. 80% of the materials we touch require oil as the raw material. So in our vision of the future, we should remember to burn less and move into, maybe also in terms of R&D, greener alternatives to oil to keep our standard of living so that we don't go back to the Stone Age.
Thanks so much. Yes, we had a question done, ma'am. Yes, go ahead. We'll take two more questions.
Hi, my name's Jen Bodden. My question is for Dr. Siang. I understand that you mentioned nothing about nuclear, and I understand that China is starting to put in place small nuclear plants that are for help in their power generation, and also there's a serious problem with the fracking process used and the implications to the water tables and also to the environment for coal. So I wanted to know how much of your coal production in China are you using the fracking process, and are you looking at alternatives in place, because that's going to be just an absolute disaster for the children of China if this fracking process is used with your gas. So I'm just wondering, I know gas is just a small portion, but I'm just wondering if you're looking at some of the implications to that.
So it means the first mentioned point is the nuclear power. So, sorry, for the question point is the.
Yes, I was just wondering if how much of your production now is being implemented using the new nuclear tech. I've been hearing about some of the new nuclear techniques that are being used over there, as sort of kind of cutting edge.
Yeah, so now the power from the nuclear plant account for about 3.9, maybe 4% of the total power generation. So by the 2050, 40 years later, we were up to the 15% by our planning, country planning, 15% for the power generation in China.
Thank you. Yes, please.
My name is Mark Purser. I'm from ICF International. So my question is also for Dr. Shirong. In the U.S., shale gas has sort of been a game changer in terms of the prospects of gas-fired generation here. Are there any similar sort of prospects in terms of shale gas exploration or development in China?
Yeah, the coal gasification technology was originally developed last century, 1940s. But after nearly 70 years, the biggest or largest development was in China and in CMT. So now we have can conduct the whole scale gasification underground of the coal mine tunnels, wasted tunnels, and generated the gas directly is sent to the chemistry plant and the gas suppliers. So now we have 5 gasification, I think, the industrial site in China. So this is, as we believe, this is a new method to make a green mining of coal in future. So no worker go to underground for working, just by the chemical process, I guess. So.
Thank you. One last question. Yes, please.
Hello? Yeah. My question is for everyone, but I'm wondering what's being done in the realm of distributed power generation, specifically fuel cell systems. I know that there's not much, I guess, because of the hydrogen fuel storage, but I want to know, I guess, if it is a viable solution, and if not, why not?
There's actually quite a bit being done. There's Fuel Cell Energy up in Danbury, which is doing some larger scale deployments. There's Intelligent Energy in the UK that has a different model, but they're licensing IP for transport as well as power generation. The question is, the reliability of the technology. Can it last 50,000 hours? I was at a conference yesterday. That's kind of where the threshold is, and so it's had fits and starts, frankly. So it's going to be one of a variety of different solutions.
Yeah, I agree with that answer, and we are a big proponent of distributed power generation. We believe decentralizing power generation is one way of reducing losses, if the generation is coming from fuel cells or distributed solar or other forms. Getting generation closer to where the load is a good direction. So fuel cells is one of the spectrum of technologies being invested in, and it also has the advantage of being a base load generation.
Thank you. Well, we'd like to certainly introduce all the comments and the presentations that have been made this morning into the roadmap that the World Energy Forum will be presenting to you at the end of the conference today, and Dr. O will address that. But meanwhile, I'd like to let you go for lunch. But before that, please, let's thank again our panelists and our speakers, and thank you for your attendance and your interest.